Podcasting live at the time we recorded it. From the studios in downtown Gulfport, Florida, it's WGAB, the Gabcast.
Welcome back to WGAB, the Gabcast, a Gabber newspaper production. I'm Patrick Heinzen, the news and politics reporter for the Gabber newspaper, and today I'm sitting down with Tom Bixler, a candidate for the Ward 1 seat at the Gulfport City Council. Thank you for coming out, Tom.
Well, thank you, Patrick, for having me, and thank you to the Gabber. Tom Bixler, I'm running for Ward 1. A little bit about me. I found this place probably in 2008 and ended up buying a place in Town Shores in 2009. When I retired from teaching at a vocational school in Ohio in 2015, I became what you call a long snowbird here. I was spent a lot of time in the warm weather. I really enjoyed it, me and my wife, Cathy. But I really enjoy the town, the people, the diversity here, and all that the city has to offer. I think we've got a great staff that works for the city, the people that take care of the parks, the playgrounds, the roads, all the way down to the garbage service we have. We don't want to lose them, but the safety here was what really impressed me. I have no problem with walking around at night or my wife coming home late if she's come into a restaurant or something. Typically she's with me, but as far as the safety is concerned, like I said, the police department, we want to keep supporting them, and the fire department, not every city has that, and I think it's something we really need. Somebody asked me, well, why are you running? Well, I'm about being civic minded. That probably started back when I was in scouting. I become an Eagle Scout. When you become an Eagle Scout, it's about giving back to the younger guys and getting them to where you got to. Somebody helped you, so you continue to help them. After high school, I went to the Navy, ended up doing 22 years in the Navy Seabees. But even in that position, as you gain rank, it's about giving back to the younger guys and building them up to where you're at. You never know. They may have to take over for you. And then I became a carpenter all my life. That was the trade I was in. But even at that, I became a vocational school teacher, and it's about giving to the students in your program and seeing them successful. 2 or 3 years down the road after they've graduated, you find out, oh man, they're making $30 an hour. Yeah. They've got a house, they got a wife, they got kids, they're successful. It really makes you feel good. So being civic minded has its advantages. Here I've joined the Lions Club, where I was in one up north for 9 years. Since being here, I've become the president of the Lions Foundation. I also joined the CERT team here in Gulfport, and I've been appointed to the Zoning and Planning Board. So I think that's important to be part of your community and doing what's right and giving back. I don't want to be one of the problems. I want to be one of the solutions. And I feel with my background in construction, there's a lot of projects that are coming up, such as the fire department and police department possibly moving to the 49th Street location. They're also looking at the Marina District to add some amenities down there. And I feel with my lifetime background in construction, I can certainly be the expert on the board that can read the blueprints, read the specifications that are put out there, and make sure everything's in them that we need to have in them going into it. That way down the road, contractors don't come back to you and say, oh, we've got an extra. We forgot to include this, or they want to throw some additional charges on you. That's what some of the contractors do. So I'd like to be part of that in the future to make sure that we get the best bang for the buck.
Yeah, definitely. Kind of in that same vein, what kinds of, you said that you have the expertise in carpentry and along with that construction and how that can help you in that sense. But what kind of other things do you think you would push for if you are elected, and how would you think you'll find a way to implement those ideas that you have?
Well, I think with my background, I was also on a school board up in Ohio, and I feel like, we took a school that had no rating to a national blue ribbon high school. Yeah. And that wasn't just one person did that. That's everybody working together for a common goal. You don't always agree on everything, but in the end, you come to a general consensus. And the purpose for a council person isn't just Tom's ideas or another council person's idea. It's the people in the community, their ideas. Yeah. You work for the people. I live in a community, Town Shores. There's 2,000 doors over there. We need somebody that's going to represent those people. Yeah. We need somebody that's going to hear them and do something about what they're asking. You're either going to come back with a good answer, or maybe the answer they don't want to hear, but you're going to get to the bottom of what their concerns are. So with that, some of the ongoing things, making sure we get the best we can get for the money we're spending.
Yeah.
Advocate in Tallahassee for money, for funds, grants and that to do this work. It's not all going to come out of the taxpayers' money. So hopefully we're going to get money from the state or federal government for that also.
You've been supported and endorsed by everybody else on council, and that has really been a big deal for you, receiving support for the people, for your possible future peers and your people who you see as friends and close to you. And if you are elected, how will you find a way to navigate sort of disagreements that you may have with them, or differentiating the opinions or ideas that you may have from what they have? Because obviously what's happening in Ward 4 and Ward 1 are similar city issues, but it may come down to, like you said, there's 2,000 doors in town shores. What can you do to help those 2,000 doors compared to what Ian is doing over in 49th Street,
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm thrilled that I got the endorsements. I also got the endorsement from the Suncoast Benevolent Police Association, from the Fraternal Order of Police, and I got them from interviewing with them. They talked about me and my background and that, and I didn't go out soliciting endorsements from the mayor, from Christine Brown, Ian O'Hara, none of them. They came to me. They met me. They talked to me. They found out a little bit about my background. I'm hoping they vetted me good, because I seem to have impressed them with my background, and they've done that endorsement. So like I said, and to your question that's asked, how would I address having differences in that? Well, I would hope we'd have some differences.
Yeah.
I definitely got a different type of background than a lot of them people. The military background, the construction background, but then again, it's also about going out and having some town hall meetings, putting everything out on the table, asking the people, doing a survey. It's not just about what Tom wants.
Yeah.
It's about what the people want. You work for the people. I'm going to definitely be working for the people. I don't have a hidden agenda. I've made no campaign promises to anybody.
Yeah.
I'm out there because I want to give back. It's my civic mindedness kicking in and wanting to give back and continue keeping Gulfport the great city that it is, keep all the amenities that we have. When you own a lot of buildings like the casino, Scout Hall, the museum, you got to keep up with the maintenance.
Yeah.
So that's where my background comes into play also. I'm going to be looking at that and scrutinizing it, and making sure that we keep our amenities up to date, So I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's interesting the way that, to an extent, a lot of the things you're saying about meeting with the community and making sure to work for the people in your ward and the city as a whole, how there's some similarities between you and your opponent in that sense, because that's kind of the job description. But what do you see as something or kind of the biggest difference between you and your opponent, or something that you will do differently if you are elected?
Well, one of the big ones I just told you about, there's 2,000 doors in town shores. They haven't had representation in 4 years. Never met the Master Association president. I've talked to her 5 or 6 times. There's a PYCC. There's a lot of people living there. Never has she made the attempt to meet the president of the Master Association or go to a meeting. I intend to attend those meetings and be a part of whatever their needs are, and bring to them as a city what we can help them with and do for them. If you don't go there, you can't find out if they've got a problem. You can't find if there's any needs that they have if you've never met them.
Yeah.
So there's a big difference right there. I'm not just in it to, go around other council people's districts. I think there's enough within that ward that I can take care of, but that doesn't alleviate people outside of the ward coming to you and ask you questions and responding. But no, you definitely got to work within your ward and do what's right for the people.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for sitting down with me, Tom. I really appreciate it. And good luck on the rest of your campaign.
Well, thank you, Patrick.
Yeah. Coming up next, we have everyone's favorite segment, Cathy with a Cop, where Cathy Salustri, the owner and publisher of the Gabber newspaper, will ask a Gulfport police officer some hard-hitting questions coming up next on WGAB, The Gabcast, a Gabber newspaper production.
Find all your Gulfport and Tampa Bay Beaches news and things to do at thegabber.com.
Hi, everyone. I'm Cathy, the editor of the paper, and I'm back with Cathy with the Cop, which is everybody's favorite feature. This week, the chief is in court, we think.
Yes, he is.
That's what he says. So we have Lieutenant Josh Stone, who has been with the force for 1,000,000 years.
No, not 1,000,000. 20. It'll be 23 in May.
23.
23.
It's a long time. And you grew up in Gulfport, too,
I
right?
grew up in Gulfport. Yes, I did.
Why'd you become a cop?
We always think about that question after so many years you've been on the force.
What? Did you lose a bet? What happened?
No. Well, for me at least, it was, you have interactions with law enforcement. You may or may not. And those interactions being good or bad, I think the positive interactions that I had with many of the Gulfport police officers when I was growing up here kind of gave me that push to say, if I had a career, what would I want to do with my life? And I would probably want to do something like they did, provide a very good service, mentor young people, catch bad guys, investigate crimes. I had a lot of positive interactions with the Gulfport police growing up, and that kind of steered me in that direction.
So you don't live in Gulfport, but you grew up here. Your parents still live here.
Parents still live here. I still have lunch with Mom every Friday.
And you worked your way up. I mean, you started here, patrol?
Yep, patrol back in May of 2001. You did your field training program and get out on your own, and you worked the road. I worked the road for about 5 years, became a detective after that, worked some cases, did that for about a year and a half, and then became a sergeant, supervised.
I remember because I wrote the article when you were promoted to sergeant.
You did, yes.
And so if you're watching, and if anybody remembers the Lethal Weapon movies where the cops all make fun of the other cops for anything,
yes.
I quoted you as saying you would, I don't remember what you said exactly, but you would give everybody a hug, that you wanted to be that kind of cop.
And I remember the context. We were at a public crime watch meeting, and a citizen wanted to know why officers were very gruff and kind of standoffish and things like that, and why not we could give citizens hugs. And I commented that we would love to give every citizen a hug. That's not the issue. It's the safety factor. It's when we're on a call for service, it's the one thing that gets officers hurt more often than not are these. So we have to watch out for hands, and we have to be very cognizant of our safety. It's
I gave you a
job.
hug. I see 3 different weapons I could grab.
Yes, But I think also being longer on the tooth in this profession, you can balance that safety need for also being a little bit more friendly, but it's hard sometimes.
Well, so when I see the young cops, and now they didn't work with me as a reporter either, so they don't know me. I'm just some idiot on the street, right? But they're so serious.
Yeah,
like you job. And the chief and Burkhart, and they're like, I mean, they're casual.
It comes with experience. It really does.
But I was saying to our City Hall reporter, to Pat, that if shit gets ugly at council ever, he wants to be sitting by the chief, because the chief looks very relaxed when you talk to him, and he's great. He loves to be personable. He's a very public relations minded chief. Let's put it that way. Hi, chief. But he's a crack shot. That's what everybody says. He's a very good shot. He's a very good shot. Yeah. You want to be by him. Yeah. So speaking of having to draw weapons, if you worked in Gulfport and no other agency, right?
Yes.
What's the hardest part about being a police officer in Gulfport?
Very good question. I think because of the fact that Gulfport is so small, like any type of incident that a citizen may hear about, whether it be a vehicle burglary or an issue with a dog or things like that, it seems to get around very, very quickly.
I've noticed that.
And a lot of times, citizens only get half the story. So it's hard to reconcile that. A lot of times we need to jump on it and try to let people know, hey, by the way, here's what happened. Or maybe give more information out about
almost like
a topic.
Social media next door is not a verified news source.
No, I think really social media is the bane of our existence, but that's my personal opinion.
Well,
because so much is getting out there so much. It's hard to keep up with everything between what it is called X now, or used to be called Twitter. The Twitter, the Facebook, the Nextdoor, the Instagram. It's just
the Snap Talk.
All kinds of information out there. But it's hard, because by the time it gets to us. When things happen, the stories become either not accurate or totally twisted altogether.
Social media it's already complicated, and I love Gulfport. Obviously, we own the paper, we own a home, we live here. But Gulfport is almost like its own version of next door too.
Yeah.
We have the coconut telegraph here, and social media has kind of exacerbated that. And do you think it's the same, say, like in the rest of Florida? Do you think it's the same challenge, or you think a little bit different? I mean,
I think each community has its own challenges. I know if we're talking Florida in general, what's a challenge for law enforcement? I think a big issue is mental health. We only beat out Alabama when it comes to like funding for mental health resources.
we fund mental health.
Well, funding out there for mental health, yes, we only beat out Alabama. So that's disappointing. And there are a lot of our citizens, a lot of our neighbors out there that are experiencing mental health crises, and it's difficult.
We have a gentleman, and I know we're running up on time here, so I'll make it quick. We have a gentleman who's he's incarcerated now. He set a fire at the museum a few years ago, and I was on the board of the Gulfport History Museum or the Historical Society, and he has schizophrenia. We know the man was not medicated. We know that after his partner died, it seemed like there were issues with him getting his medication. And so after this happened, we as a board voted unanimously to ask the state attorney to sentence him with that in mind. And like, can you get him into a mental health program? And first of all, the state attorney would not talk to us. Talk to the public defender, and then the state attorney talked to us. And nothing changed. You know, he's just going to spend his time in prison or in jail. I'm not sure which one he's in. And when he gets out, he's still going to be dealing with the same demons and not have the tools. So it's
Yeah.
I can see your point of view where it's frustrating. I don't think we do a good job with mental health.
Yeah, incarceration's not a substitute for treatment or therapy or whatever.
Incarceration is, I have very different ideas, and we can talk about that another time.
Oh, for sure.
But on that note, though, the biggest challenge, you think, what about the United States? If you were, what would you say if you were a police officer? What do you think?
Excellent question.
Because there's a lot of cop hate
Yes.
that I don't see as much in Gulfport as I see other places.
Well, in general, like let's say the hardest things in law enforcement. One is the risk to our own personal safety, encountering violence, things like that. We all know it's a part of our job. But those risks out there really weigh heavily on the minds of law enforcement officers. The one bigger thing I believe, though, in fact, it's actually hurting us totally in terms of recruitment, is public scrutiny, officers kind of getting trashed. I mean, look, when the George Floyd incident happened in Minnesota, that was very bad. And I don't know any cop that didn't look at that video and say that was horrible, right? But then you have the backlash, the protests, the violence, things like that. And then the scrutiny involved, because one police officer does a bad thing, now we're all labeled as the bad actor. And that weighs heavily on younger people trying to say, well, why would I want to do this job when I did not do that conduct, but now I'm going into a profession where I'm going to be labeled that, even though I have the best of intentions. And it's very hard for us to try to find folks who want to do this job. I mean, that's the biggest hurdle I think we have nationwide.
Oddly enough, journalism is facing the same problem, finding people who want to do the job. Not exactly for the same reasons, but we're fortunate here at the Gabber. We have, by and large, a good staff. They can be a little cheeky, but they're good. And, we do stuff like this, and I'm glad we do it. Thanks for coming on. It's nice to see a different
nice to
face.
See you.
I know.
It's been a while. It's nice to get out of the office and chat.
So let's move on to our next segment. We're actually going to get political.
The Gabber newspaper? Yeah, we go there.
All right, and we're back.
Cathy. Okay.
I am joined by the wonderful yet cheeky staff. Pat's back with us, and we have the lovely and talented, the mostly talented.
I'm Cameron. I'm Cameron Healy. I'm the assistant editor for the Gabber newspaper.
You say that every week. I know.
I just want everybody to know, I guess, I am a girl. I work for the Gabber newspaper, and I'm here every week.
All right, and with that in mind.
You weren't here yesterday.
All right.
Anyways, this week, I got to meet our official pet mayor of 2024. Can you guys guess who it was? Who was it?
Well, I read the paper. I know.
Okay, anyways, it was Banjo. OMG. Banjo is our first
Differently abled
Gulfport pet mayor.
So-
and Yeah.
No, so the AP Associated Press style book says we should ask the person with a disability how they choose to be identified.
I don't know if Banjo even understands that concept.
Well, that's the thing. I don't think Banjo realizes.
Well, his family called him disabled. They said that. So that's what we're quoting, I guess. If they wanted to say it otherwise, I'm so sorry, guys. We had a conversation. But so yeah, apparently last minute, again, like every year, the pet mayor has like a last minute, somebody donates like a bunch of money. And so that's what happened this year with Banjo. Banjo was a little behind, I guess, according to his family. And he just slid into first place. There was something going on. So it was Banjo came in first, and he raised, let's see, $1,547. And then not too far behind him was Rudy with $1,493. And then in third was Charlie with $734.56. He had an all coin donation of $110.
It's like somebody emptied out their piggy bank.
It sounds like an old math problem.
Like, how much do you have left?
85 quarters and 120 dimes and all this.
How much? How long will it take the train to get to Chicago?
So that was the election for.
So can we talk about
Pet
Banjo's
Mayor.
disability though?
So yeah, what happened was Banjo was not entirely like disabled his entire life. He only 3 years ago found out he had stage 5 IVDD, which ended up paralyzing his legs, and he adjusted super quick to
Just
the
his
wheelchair.
back legs, though.
It's his back legs. So yeah, he can still like walk around, and like if you see him around town, he has like this little wheel contraption in the back where his legs just kind of sit, and then he just goes like that and walks around.
He's still got that smile, too.
Oh my!
I mean,
that was
so
the
happy.
biggest thing that they were saying was like he just like has like a pep in his step. He's just living his life. He's just a happy dog to see like people and to sniff things, and he loves just playing in the water. He loves hanging out with his family.
He's a dog. He's happy.
He's also a cat dog. I don't know. He prefers cats over dogs.
He's a cat person. Oh, a
cat
dog.
person. That's what I mean. He can't be a cat person. He's a dog.
He's cat forward.
He's just that dog.
Okay.
So, yeah. So, anyways, his family was saying that they hope he can have vice mayors be Lipton, who has actually been nominated at, or what would the word be? He was appointed to be the
Business officer.
small business philosopher.
Lipton's humans are the corner store.
Yes.
Which is a new Gulfport thing where you are both apparently developing a very bad candy addiction.
Well, no.
Can't help myself,
We
they're so good.
drink the Cola Celsius there, and I went in there the other day, and he said that when people start buying it, the price goes up, and he can't order Cola Celsius anymore because we drink too much of it.
We're the only ones
We're the
who
ones
buy
who
it.
drink it, and now he can't buy it anymore because it's too expensive.
It's okay. Then we'll rack up the orange ones.
But the Cola Celsius is the second best part of walking in there because when Lipton
Yes.
runs up and super
Lipton's so
friendly, and
sweet.
I love that dog. He's the best.
So, yeah, Banjo immediately made friends with Lipton, and Meatball was the
cat,
calico cat. And so he's in hopes that will be his sidekick team, whatever it would be.
Who won the? Who got appointed to be the kitty manager? I thought that was
Kona
adorable.
Babies.
Kona Babies
is the kitty manager. Who else?
That's
was-
like herding cats, though. That job's got to be impossible.
I wonder if Jim O'Reilly has anything to say about that. It's
amazing.
So that's competition.
That's the cat position.
The kitty
not the
manager.
dog position.
Wow.
He's got that feline in him.
I'm not going to ask the city manager about that. Anyway.
So yeah, that was really exciting. And if you guys don't know what the pet mayor elections does, it's to raise money for the Gulfport Arts and Heritage and Friends of Strays. So they were able to raise $5,171.56, of course, for this election. So that was really exciting. They didn't reach
Good
their goal.
fundraiser.
They wanted 10,000, but
It's
not in this economy.
It's a hard political economy or
It's
hard
tough.
political climate right now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's you just don't know. But the important thing is everybody in that race did support the results of the 2024 mayoral pet race. So that's good.
As they should.
Yeah, they
if
should.
anybody was against it, I feel like that's just kind of like you
Like, you
got
don't
a
know.
problem.
The votes were
What's wrong
counted.
with you? Yeah,
Certified.
Exactly. They were real.
Anyway,
So that was super exciting, and he got a little informal wagging in ceremony over here in the back at North End Tap House. So that was really exciting for them. But anyways, another fun story we had this week was Morgan Bano, our food reporter, went and ate at the Pearl restaurant in Gulfport.
I have been asking Morgan to find out why the Pearl moved to Gulfport. So she
Yeah.
finally went. And I wasn't sure because I like the Pearl. I eat there a lot.
Yes.
It's kind of our go-to place right now. And I wasn't sure why. I was worried she wasn't going to like it. I'm like, man, I really like that food. I don't want to not be able to go back there. But she texted me and she's like, that food is effing fantastic. Like, she had a great meal.
I wonder what she was saying.
Yeah, frickin'. She was saying it was frickin' fantastic.
Friggin'.
I remember I was asking you if you had any. I asked, do you have any recommendations for like restaurants for Valentine's Day? And the first thing you said is, does your girlfriend like camel? I'm like, no, I don't think she does. But
It's delicious.
thanks
Yeah.
for the.
So
I have to try it now.
everybody's been talking about the camel, right? That was the first thing you heard was in our according to Gulfport.
Oh, yeah.
Got to try the camel. The Pearl has
Morgan said they have camel, ostrich,
elk.
antelope.
They vary what they have, but they said now their camel is so popular they pretty much have to have it all the time.
Yeah. I
And-
feel like if you're going to go there now, you have to try
I
the
thought
camel.
it was going to be gamey
Okay.
at first, and so the first time I tasted it, Barry and I went, and I got a regular fillet, and he got the camel, and I had one bite of his camel, and it was so much better than any steak I've ever had. So I asked Chef Kareem, why doesn't this taste gamey? Like, I've always heard camels very gamey, and he says there is a ranch in Texas
Yeah.
that raises camel, and he only buys certain cuts. So I guess some cuts of
Interesting.
camel can be
like
gamey.
what you're expecting.
Right, but
and then
it's
the
not like
others
that.
aren't.
It's so good, and their vegetables are always so nice. They just, I mean, I don't know. I like their
Yeah.
vegetables.
I've been looking for a good Mediterranean place.
It's good. They have a happy hour, not a happy hour. What do they call it? Early bird.
Early bird.
But
Okay.
I just can't work up for an appetite that early. I can't be hungry for dinner at 4. Like, and also
Sometimes
it's
it
so
happens.
friggin' crowded. Like, I
Really?
don't I don't like people enough to eat in a
Interesting.
packed restaurant. Like, I want to go when it's a little emptier and
Yeah.
quieter because they people love that place, and I see why. I like it, and they got
Yeah,
their
you're one of
full
those
liquor-
people.
I am one of those people. I'm like doing a little mini commercial
You're
for
like,
them.
please
And-
let me in there.
I mean, and they're not even open. It's Tuesday. They're not open today. I don't think.
I thought they
Dang.
do sushi on Tuesday.
No, yeah, they
Yes,
are.
they do. They
They're
do
closed
sushi
on
on
Sundays and Mondays.
Oh, they do sushi, but they only do one roll.
Yeah, so
Oh,
it's
one
one whatever.
So does Morgan's description of her experience at the Pearl kind of go in line with yours? I mean,
I
you
think
said
she undersold it.
She said it was fantastic.
I
but
think
is
she
that-
undersold how good it is.
Really, that's crazy.
But I like Mediterranean food. I like
Yeah.
the aromatics. I like. I am not afraid to eat anything. The only thing I don't eat is gray food. Scrapple is not there. But I mean, I've tried haggis. I've had tripe. I don't really have a problem with any of those foods, and it's not even that exotic. It's just, So I'll say when I was there a few weeks ago, they were out of camel, so I ordered the elk. It was okay.
Yeah.
It's no camel.
Dang.
I mean, it's they I do want to get a T-shirt made up for the Pearl. It just says, "Have you tried the camel?"
I just think it's interesting that, like, if you didn't know it was camels and somebody served it to you, you'd be like, oh my gosh, this is an incredible steak. I used to, it sounds bad, but so I'm Peruvian, and we would go and get Peruvian food, and one of my favorite Peruvian dishes is cow heart, and it's put on a kebab. And
Interesting.
sometimes I would have leftovers, and I would bring it to lunch the next day in school. And I'd tell my friend, I'd be like, hey, try the steak I made. And they're like, oh, okay. They try it, and I'd be like, you just ate a heart. And they're like, it was still good. I kind of pranked them. It was
Wow.
bad.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where, like, you can say, oh, I don't like camel. And
You
then
don't
you'll
know
eat
until
it.
you've tried
Yeah, you'll
it.
eat it.
Yeah.
And you'll be like, oh,
I would probably eat it.
if you didn't know it was
delicious.
camel and you ate it, or
I feel like
ostrich for that matter.
It can't be too different.
I don't know what the meat of an ostrich
know.
is like, whether it's...
I understand ostrich is gamey too, but that's what I thought about camel. Don't go by me. Try the
Is
ostrich.
ostrich like dark meat? Or is it...
It's a bird.
I don't know how that works. I
It's
don't
the
get
other
it.
white meat.
It's like a big turkey?
Yeah, like that's what
A
I'm
big mean turkey.
What if it was like Thanksgiving and instead of a turducken, they put like 6 turkeys in an ostrich? That would be awesome.
This is why you do not let our
Get
film
a whole ostrich.
And then we can have when then we cook one
One
big
Cornish game
ostrich
hen.
egg.
One
in-
Cornish game
Did
hen.
you know one ostrich egg feeds 12 people?
Where did you read that?
Where
on,
did you get
Where did
Yes.
you read that?
Yeah, I looked it up. I had this odd conversation about ostriches with my boyfriend's family, and I like was at the dinner table looking at this. I was like, "Dang, those eggs are huge."
One ostrich egg feeds...
If you, yeah,
I don't remember where I heard this, but I think ostriches are like the 3rd tallest living thing. Like living animal. Living animal.
oh, it's
If-
8 to 10
if you
people.
go
Sorry,
by like how tall
Sorry,
they are,
fake
ostriches
news.
are like in the top 5 tallest
I feel
animals
like
in the world.
as a news organization, we should not be saying things like, I don't know where I heard this, but I read somewhere on the internet.
Did I just find the information
What's
for
your
you
source?
and correct myself?
What is your
Google.
Well, that's why we don't
And-
report on Facebook.
No.
Okay.
Well, what mine's coming from ScienceDirect.com. So found out scrambled eggs from one ostrich egg can feed 8 to 10 people.
And with that, we will be back next week with more ostrich-related news.
Yeah.
Thank you for
exciting.
watching and listening to WGAB, the Gabcast.